प्रातस्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वम् सच्चित् सुखं परमहंस गतिं तुरीयम् यत्स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तमवेति नित्यम् तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः। तत्त्वस्वरूपानुभवादुत्पन्नं ज्ञानमञ्जसा अहं ममेति चाज्ञानम् बाधते दिग्भ्रमादिवत् सम्यक् विज्ञानवान् योगी स्वात्मन्येवाखिलं जगत् एकं च सर्वमात्मानं तीक्षते ज्ञानचक्षुषा आत्मैवेदं जगत् सर्वम् आत्मनोऽन्यं न विद्यते मृदो यद्वद्घटादीनि स्वात्मानं सर्वमीक्षते जीवन्मुक्तस्तु तद्विद्वान् पूर्वोपाधिगुणान् त्यजेत् सच्चिदानन्दरूपत्वात् भवेद्भ्रमरकीटवत् तीत्वा मोहार्णवं हत्वा रागद्वेषादिराक्षसान् योगी शान्तिसमायुक्तः आत्मा रामो विराजते बाह्यानित्यसुखासक्तिम् हित्वात्मसुखनिवृत्तः घटस्थदीपवत् स्वस्थः स्वान्तरेव प्रकाशते उपाधिस्थोऽपि तद्धर्मैरलिप्तो व्योमवन्मुनिः सर्वविन्मूढवत्तिष्ठेदसक्तो वायुवच्चरेत् उपाधिविलयाधिष्णौ निर्विशेषं विषेन्मुनिः जले जलं वियद्योम्नि तेजस्तेजसि वा यथा यल्लाभान्नापरो लाभो यत्सुखान्नापरं सुखम् यज्ञानान्नापरं ज्ञानम् तद्ब्रह्मेत्यवधारयेत् यद्दृष्ट्वा नापरं दृश्यम् यद्भूत्वा न पुनर्भवः यज्ञात्वा नापरं ज्ञेयम् तद्ब्रह्मेत्यवधारयेत्.
The knowledge born out of realization of the Supreme Brahman instantly destroys ignorance and I and mine, like confusion regarding direction, etc. So we said in the last class that Tattva Swarupa Anubhavat, that means from the experience of the ultimate Brahman, the essential Brahman, Utpannam Jnanam Anjasa, instantly that knowledge is born. It is as instantaneous. In a context, it is said that it only takes as much time to realize and you get that instant knowledge just as the time it takes for a sharp needle to penetrate through a rose petal. It is as instantaneous. You cannot say that I pierce now, when will the hole be formed in the petal? Instantaneously. Okay. And that Jnanam, which is the realization, instantly removes the ignorance. And ignorance are in the form of, he says, aham mameti cha ajnanam. It is in the form of I and mine, and that's where we concluded in the last class. How is it ignorance? It is very interesting that what you point out as I, this I, which is made up of this body, and inside the body there are thoughts, subtle body, mind and intellect. If you carefully analyze, there is no such thing as you pointing towards that particular thing which is fixed in any way. It is in a constant flux of change. Chapter 3, verse 27. Bhagavad Gita, it says, Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Ahankara vimudhatma. Vimudhatma means a great fool. An egoistic person is the Ahankara vimudhatma. I am the doer, karta aham iti manyate. I am the doer, that he believes that. So I remember when Swamiji was explaining that verse during our course in academy. Suppose you say, for any action, let us say the action of taking this class. Who is taking the class? I will say I am taking this class. As a general statement, it's okay. But I have a feeling that I am taking this class. Okay. That is called as kartrutva bhavana, or a doership. Attitude of that I am the doer, it's called doership, kartrutva bhavana. So he says, if you look at this from the point of view of who are all responsible for taking this class, or who are all required for anybody to take this class, somebody has to be sitting there to listen. Then there are thousands and thousands of other people, not thousands, millions maybe. One who has given us this knowledge, the master, from where he has derived all the series of parampara which is there, Guru Parampara, all those masters, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, Arjuna, everybody. And one who has taught us this language, English language, go through your teachers till the person who formulated the language and who wrote the grammar and everything, which has been successively handed over through generations, Sanskrit language. Not only that, a person who has given us this hall where we can sit and discuss without any disturbance. Person who has provided the electricity. And if you take electricity, how many have contributed? So if you take like that into account each and everything, how many have contributed to the fact that one small class is happening here? It is millions. So if that being the case, how can you claim the doership that I am doing it? Okay, suppose you say, I don't want to claim egoistically, but is it not a fact that I am also one of that 1,000 or million, whatever be the number, I am one among that. So you expect that much credit. He says, if you are understanding that you are one in that million, your contribution actually goes into insignificance. So you will not claim it. You will just do your part and get out, just as an orchestra, one player who plays the flute or one who sings, he will do his part and he will go away. Orchestra is not dependent on you. Solidly it is functioning with millions of people. You play your part. That's about all. So one spoke cannot say that I am the most important spoke here. All are making the spokes. That's all. That is one way to look at it. Your contribution actually goes to infinitesimal. But you may still say, it's a contribution, sir. Then he goes on to say that analyze who you claim as doing the action. Actually, suppose I go home and say I took the class today. That means I was the same person who was sitting in the class, taking the class, and I am the same person who is there at home claiming that I am taking the class. I took the class. But is it true? No. The person who was taking the class here and the person who is claiming there are different people. You may not be able to notice the change, but the change has already occurred. The person who is coming here and going out of this class 1 hour later is a changed person physically. Not to talk about their thoughts, emotions and internal changes. That also changes, but physically also there is a change. You may not be able to notice the change, but change does happen. Every cell, every hair, every nail, every blood vessel, everything is undergoing a constant change. So therefore you cannot point to something as I. The example is that in those days when telephone had other services, like they will set alarm and they will, one services they will tell what the right time is. So when you call and ask what is the right time, they say that time, at the time of your calling was, they cannot say the time now is, because the now when they say such and such time, 9:14:23 seconds means it's gone. So you cannot fixate the time at that point. It is constantly moving. So they say at the time of your call it was such and such time. Like that they can say. Exactly like that ego which is operating and claiming that kartrutva, that action, that is a different thing, and what you are now is a different. So this notion that I is constant itself is a false notion. There is something which is constant, but that you don't refer to as I. That is what is the constant thing. But so this is actually born of ignorance. Aham is ignorance. That is why in the Atma Shatakam, Shankaracharya says, Mano Buddhi Chit Ahankara, Mano Buddhi Ahankara Chittani Naham. I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am not the Chit, I am not the Ahankar. That means I am not the I. I am not the I. That's what he is literally saying. Okay. What is born out of I is Mamakar. Mamakar means possessiveness. Belongs to me, mine. So when I itself is not there, how can anything belong to I? Rooted out. Again, you can take up any example, what you claim as mine, and check it out. All the mind comes from the body only. Once you possess this as I, and the body is mine, every other possession is based on the body. Your wife, your house, your money, your child, everything is based on this claim that I am this. So take any possession for that matter. My house that you say, what is in that house is yours. Is the brick yours? Do you know how to make a brick? Do you know how to put the wires there? Do you know how to put the carpentry items there? Door and other thing? Nothing we know, and we claim that the house is mine. You can say, what maximum? I paid the money for it. My money. Okay. Is it really your money? How can you claim? Of course, I worked for it and I earned it. It's not somebody else's money I am claiming. You work for it. What did you work? I had a factory and I gained profit out of it. What is that factory? Is that factory yours again? The plant that is put there, or whatever it is, the workers that are working there, the road that is given by the government, and you may say that I pay the taxes, I do this, I paid for the factory, but okay, you don't pay anything. Will that come automatically by itself? And if agricultural land, you say I sowed the seed. You can sow the seed, but did you create the seed? Or did you make the seed grow? You cannot claim anything. Like that, if you analyze part by part, you say your son, your child. In public lectures, Swamiji has also taken them this example. What is in that son is that is yours. The sperm that is there in the man and the egg that is produced in the female, they are all product of the food that he eats. And at the right time, if they have to germinate, there has to be a conducive atmosphere in both the sites. That inclination to procreate must be there in both father and the mother. That cannot be suddenly by your will. It cannot come like that. Just as hunger. If hunger is there, you will eat. But who puts the hunger in you? Somebody claims in Gita, I am the Vaishwanara. I am that fire. I am that hunger, he says. Like that, who is this fire? Putting this fire is the same entity which you cannot claim. When that urge is there, then there is a coming together that happens. then the formation of the fetus, and then the growth of the embryo, and then the coming out at the exact time, growth inside, everything for that matter, everything is beyond your control. It is not in our control at all. Yet when the son or the daughter comes out, we say, my child. That mine is a possessive attitude. Again, born of stupid notion. It is again, I am not saying that what we use in a general, whose laptop is this, I'll say my laptop. This general, whose house is my house. It is not what you say, but with what feeling that you say. That really talks about the possessiveness. Okay. So, this is a false notion, and this we have been carrying on for Janmas together. This notion, for whatever period that we are carrying, instantly vanishes. Instantly means very instantly it vanishes upon realization of the self. Aham mameti chajnanam bhadate dikbrahmadivat. Like confusion of direction, etc. Very, very famous example. Very interesting example. A man has lost the sense of direction. This example, you have to imagine that a man is going from one place to another, and he is in a dense, deep forest in between. It is dark night and maybe without moonlight. Now he is completely lost. He doesn't know which direction to take, how to go, because there is nothing to guide him. He is very desperate because he has to get out of the forest in the right way and then reach the other village there. But he doesn't know which direction he goes is right or wrong. And then suddenly a man appears there. I'm reminded of a novel. I mean, it was generally a fiction novel where some chemical, it is about warfare, some chemical that they are preparing, which when bursts gives enormous light or something. So that is finally getting buried under water, and there are 3 people who are trying to protect it, and there are sharks around, various things. It's like a plot that he builds. Finally, the person who is deep inside the water, and instantly that chemical that has gone deep inside, that also bursts and there's a blaze. So deep inside the water, he does not know how and where to swim and how to go. He thinks that blaze light is light of the sunlight, and he moves towards that direction. Fortunately, his companion pulls him up and says this direction. Because it is somewhat deep inside. It's not a surface. It's somewhat deep inside. Like that it is. It could be any direction that you may be going, but it's a wrong direction. So when he is desperate like that, somebody appears there with a small light, and he understands your distress, and he gives only one piece of information for you, which is this is north, he says. That's all. Moment he says this is north, you know now everything. You know south, you know east, you know west, you know northeast, southwest, all directions you know. And with that help, you know exactly which direction you must go, because that is the direction towards your destination. You know that exactly. So you probably thank him and you go there. Exactly like that. In this dense forest of Samsara, we are caught in the middle and we really do not know which direction to take now. Which is our destination also, we are now confused. But we know that there are various things pulling us in various directions. We do not know which is right. There is a social life, there is a corporate life, there is a domestic life, family life, this life, that life. Various things are pulling us in various directions. When you are desperate like that, who appears in your life is a guru. With a light means he has the original light. He has the light of wisdom. and he gives you only one piece of information or knowledge to you, which is you are the self, that's all. He has given you that direction. You are the self, and that is what you are here to find out, and that's what you are here to realize. That's all he says. Once he says that, you know exactly which is your direction to move in life. You also know various other things. What is the role of your domestic life? What is the role of your official, social, and other parts of your life? How do you really go about fulfilling those obligations? You will exactly know. And then you are sort of made for life. You know your life is no more wasted in any unwanted channels. You will go in the right direction. But that very instant, you know everything. So a person who is firmly rooted in that path is as good as there. It is a matter of time before he reaches, but you are safe. You will now begin to enjoy your journey without any problem. Now the question is, how does that person appear? Is it the fortune of some people? Or God chooses? How does that person appear in your environment for you to get guidance from him?
Karma.
What do you have to do? Whose karma?
Your karma, if you've done good karma, then that person.
Okay, I'm not saying it is wrong, because karma is a very general answer in which everything fits in.
It's more of your effort when you neglect what you see.
Your effort is definitely there, but in that case I am saying, what is his effort? In the middle of the forest, what is his effort?
That strong desire, the mumuksha.
Correct. There must be a very strong yearning to know where and how to go. And it is a very desperate, deep call from within. That is why it may be sometimes triggered by circumstances or sometimes tragedies in life also. But if you are desperate and if you do that with deep earnestness, definitely divinity helps you in that form. A guru is nothing but only Ishvara coming in a human form, nobody else. Guru and Govinda are not different. Rather, Guru is somebody who is more you can relate to. That is why Kabira says Namaskar to Guru first and then to Govinda. So, there must be this strong yearning or desire. Technically, you can say mumukshatva, that is, that I want to liberate myself, that I want to, because I do not know what liberation is also. Liberation is just a term. Mukti, moksha, kaivalya, apavarga, various terms are given. All that is terms only for me. It really does not make me understand or feel what it is, because it's a totally different. 2 verses later he is going to say it's like this caterpillar going into a butterfly. They are totally different. Absolutely no connection between both, except that one goes into the shape of the other and flies away. That's all. But what is the life of caterpillar and what is the life of butterfly are totally different. Like that, I do not know what that liberation is. I only talk about liberation having heard it in the scriptures or from the Guru. But all that I know is that there is something which is constricting or restricting me. I am feeling bound. I am feeling very congested. So I need something to release myself. I need somewhere to get out. That much I know. I feel I do not belong to here. And that desperation must be there. And it is not a casual curiosity that will fetch you this. As I said, it is like a deep desperation. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa says your mumukshatva must be as powerful as a person when his head is submerged under water, what he will think of only coming out of the water Nothing else he will think of. Life is so precious. Like that he will think desperately. Like that you must think desperately about God, he says. Somebody is asking, what is how much love I must have for God, or how much is that is technically asking how much mumukshatva I must have. A child which is lost, let us say in an exhibition or in a marketplace, how it desperately looks for the mother. A person who is constantly wanting companionship of his wife or lover, how he desperately looks for her in her absence, like the Purvashrama of Tulasidasa, how he did. How a greedy person looks for money in each and every transaction. In each and every small transaction also, how he constantly looks for it. He says, put together all these three and much more is the desire that you must have for God. That desperation. According to the law of demand and supply, then it will happen. If you take it casually, in other words, wherever your Shraddha is, that is what is going to come to you. For most of the people who are really they are interested, but they don't have the Tivra Mumukshatva, it is not going to happen as it is happening to this person. For some, that burning sensation comes and they leave everything else and take it up. Our Swamiji said he has heard Gita lectures, particularly from Swami Chinmayananda on many occasions, but on one particular lecture, he said, what are you doing? Your only business in life is to realize the self, and you're all doing everything else except that. He probably has heard that statement also before, but he said that day it struck him so much deep inside. Remember, it is just not that one day lecture, it is a culmination of all other things. That day it is like a penny dropping that day. But it has to deeply, from that time onwards, he said, I could not sleep peacefully. I immediately thought there must be something in life that I must do, that I must achieve, that I cannot afford to waste any more time. Wasted enough time. So that type of a deep sense of striking must be there. Once that is there, all that is needed is you are the self and that direction is given. Then you exactly know what is the role of all other things in your life. Role of money and role of karma and role of relationships and role of emotions and everything. All that becomes supplementary, or it complements your main pursuit to that extent so that you can reach your destination. That is the role. And what does he say? He says only one thing. That one thing instantly gives you the knowledge of every other thing. See, suppose if that person had given the direction, you go, turn right, turn left and all those things, he would have known only that. But since he now said north, he knows every other direction also. See, if you have an ignorance or a knowledge, you are lacking the knowledge as to how to relate with a particular person. Let's say your mother-in-law, there's an issue with her, everything is fine, means you can be given certain formula, you find out her strength, her weakness, then you cater to her like this, you say namaskar to her this way, this, that, then you know how to deal with her. So that there is smooth relationship as far as she is concerned. Some other person who is not a very aggressive person but a lazy person, you have to deal with him this way. Driver has to be dealt this way. The formula for mother-in-law will not work for the driver. Formula for driver will not work for husband. Formula for husband will not work for, let's say, a market vegetable vendor. But you can have smooth relationship with all if you know that particular formula for each person. But in general, if you are given a formula as to these are the ways in which people will relate to, these are the ways in which the mind and intellect will relate to, and you are given a formula, you know instantly how to relate with everybody. The whole world relationship becomes easy. That is one particular knowledge. That's all. So the knowledge of the self also literally makes you comfortable in all other areas also. It is not that with self-knowledge you know only to go to do bhakti and to realize the self. It's not relationship with God alone. It is relationship with everybody else also becomes smooth. So it instantly clarifies your path also and it shows you the destination also. This example of direction does that. But literally speaking, Vedanta, which is the knowledge of the self in the theoretical form that it is given to us, if you intake it in the proper way, it is sure to give you clarity in all other subjects also. This is very interesting. I mean, I would recommend that you go through that part. We had a talk on this liberal education here 2 years back. No, November 2017, we had a liberal education. That Swamiji's is a role of education. 2 years back. So, we put it in the YouTube 5 parts. In that 5th part, this is what is being discussed, that if you, the theme there is not the theme that is given here, but it relates to it like that. If you approach any education of the world in a liberal way, then ultimately it has to lead you to the self. What is the reason? See, suppose, that is why we said that the role or duty of every teacher of every subject in the school, in college, is to get the student interested in the subject, make him fall in love with the subject. Once you love something, you will automatically end up knowing that thing. Your curiosity increases, your courtship increases, your wanting to understand that increases, automatically understanding comes. Love for the child makes the mother understand the child. So understanding comes out of love. So when you deeply love mathematics, you will understand mathematics. When you deeply love Sanskrit, you will understand Sanskrit. When you have love for English, you will understand English literature and other subject regarding related to English. Like that it is. So the question is, how do we generate that love? How do we create that love? Love is something that should spontaneously come. I cannot say that from tomorrow onwards, try to love that person. You may want to, but it should come from within. So how is love created within you?
It's yours.
Okay. When you see in movies and in real life also sometimes love at first sight. That is there. Why is it that the boy loves the girl at first sight or the girl falls for the boy at the first sight? What is it that makes that person fall in love?
It is more of a physical appearance at that point.
Okay, whatever be it, physical appearance, correct. But in that physical appearance, what is attractive is the beauty. It may not appear beautiful for you, but it appears beautiful in that person's eyes. So, moment you see the beauty in the other person, you really like that person. You love that. You love a beautiful greenery, a landscape. You love a picture of Switzerland or Venice, which is beautiful. Ocean or a mountain or everything that is beautiful, you immediately like it. You immediately love it. So it is very clear that if there is a beauty, the attraction in you is tickled. You want to love it. You want to like it. Now the question is, when do you see the beauty? Or when does the beauty appear to you? Even in, they select this Miss India, Miss World, all those contests, right? They select the beautiful person there. For the sake of it, I do not know, they keep a general knowledge or some test for the brains also, but invariably it is very famous for the most stupid answers that they give, and it is basically physical beauty. It's basically they are tested that on various rounds and various grounds, but you need to add this also. And invariably, though they may talk about changing the world and alleviating poverty and other thing, they end up only as movie stars, which is what is their original aim also. And nothing wrong with it. That also needs a lot of tapas and other things, right? But how do the judges there judge that this person's physical attributes and features are beautiful? How do they do that? Of course, they are given certain specifications, certain this thing, parameters. We may not know that exact parameters, but what is it that we understand from it? No, comparison is fine, but you will find that more or less everybody has like the same type of figure and structure, and those things are there. There is okay statistics. Okay, this is this size, this is this size, hip size and waist size, whatever it is. All those sizes, various features. In fact, there was a TV show in which it is not a show for beauty pageants. It is show for logic and how the brain functions like that. So they had collected a group of people and given them faces of 5 beautiful faces and 5 celebrities like that, 5 beautiful faces. They may not know who it is. They have to vote for the most beautiful face. And of the 5, the majority votes, let's say out of 30, 25 or so voted for a particular thing only, and it was judged the most beautiful. Then they explained that particular photo alone, that particular picture alone does not belong to any one particular individual. What they did was, they very symmetrically aligned the most beautiful eyes, they put the most beautiful nose, they put all in the symmetry, and they made that feature, most beautiful hair, and every setup was given. Automatically that was more attractive to the to the people who were asked that question. So automatically you see a beauty when the pattern is more perfect. So there is a pattern. Once you see a pattern, if the eyes are very, suppose for argument's sake I am saying a person is very short or very tall, you don't get immediately that type of a feeling where other person is what is considered as a very apt size or something like that. Or if it is a squint-eyed person, then you don't get that much attracted for that particular person, like that it is. Or if the teeth is not proper, anything for that matter. So if there is a pattern in the if the pattern is there in the object, it becomes automatically attractive, beauty appears, and when beauty is there, you like it. So the key to liking anything is to identify the pattern. You have to identify the pattern. This is what the teacher is supposed to do. The teacher is supposed to show that pattern in the subject. Each and everything has a pattern. In fact, that is why everything is very, it is artistic, but it is scientific. It follows a particular pattern. You see that in chemistry, when 2 atoms and form to combine a molecule, you see even the chemical diagram that they have drawn for according to the valency of each element, it's a pattern. How it mutually moves and combines with each other, it is a pattern. You see within a flower in the botany, or how the amoeba moves, dissects itself, it's a pattern. And it is very kaleidoscopic in nature. So much beauty is there. You see within every flower, every leaf, every tree, each and everything, and the whole garden or the forest, the ocean, each and every animal. Swamiji says, if you want to invoke bhakti, see the wings of the butterfly. Can anybody make it more beautiful than that? It is so symmetrical, yet no 2 butterflies are same. No 2 cheetahs are same. So much spots they have. How many cheetahs and how many spotted deers we have in this universe living at present? Millions. Yet no 2 things are same, but beautiful pattern everywhere. The birds, the feathers, each and everything. So there is a very, very beautiful pattern if you take in every subject. Mathematics, physics, law, economics. Economics, if you have to teach as a mathematics, it's a very interesting subject. It's a pattern. It functions on the law of demand, supply, everything is there. So the way to get into the subject deeply is to understand the pattern, then you fall in love with it. Once you fall in love with it, you will not rest until you understand it. That is why Sanskrit must be taught that way. it must be not imposed starting from the for Ramaha, Ramo, Ramaha, that grammar. Just as you learn any other language, it must be taught. And then you get into the depth of the grammar and formation of words and sentences. It is so scientific. That is why they say it is most apt for the computer science. The language that computer understands, it's in the same way that it is formulated. And this Paninian grammar is centuries old. It is still, and with that actually you can make new words, new phrases, each and everything can be done. That's a pattern. Tamil, any language for that matter, I would say. If you get into the pattern of it, you see the beauty and you will definitely understand it. Now what Swami Ramtirtha says is, when you then go deep into that subject, whether it is maths, whether it is Sanskrit, whether it is even studying pleasure as a subject in itself, they have written a thesis called as Kama Sutra, Artha Shastra. It is a treatise on wealth and economics, warfare, on whatever subject you take. A couple of weeks back we discussed about what is known as a Tambula Manjari. Art of making pan and how to eat it. There's a treatise on it. See how much they have gone into the depth of it. Now, if you go deep into any subject like that and you get yourself immersed in it, ultimately you go beyond all patterns and see the base of it all, and self will reveal itself. This is what it is. Liberal education should lead you to that. In a single pointed concentration, Ekalavya was able to achieve this. This is Swamiji's interpretation. Brilliant. He forgot everything with even the Guru invoked in that statue, Dronacharya. He started practicing archery and he became so single pointed, he became expert more than even Arjuna. Like that, it will take you to ultimate perfection if you go deep into any subject. Now he says, therefore, put the reverse now. Reverse is, you go into that self-subject, which is Vedanta, which is your own self. Will you not start seeing beauty in any subject? You will. It becomes easy for you to grasp any subject. So Ramatirtha says, the scientists who are exploring the world with all their intelligence must get the self-knowledge first within themselves. Then all their exploration becomes easy and purposeful. Now we do not really know what is the purpose and what exactly. The scientific temper is to be appreciated, that they are trying to find out something, but what is the purpose behind it, they will exactly know. So you have to switch on that self inside. Not only that, the power of the intellect that you gain as you go along and you become sharp with reference to cause and effect, that makes you grasp every other subject even more easily. So, a person, I can give Swamiji's example because he has told that, like, somebody coughs or does something and he says, you first take this particular test or, this blood test or that blood test. He is not a doctor, but with his a sharp intellect, thinking and wisdom, he is able to correlate that this must be the cause of this. It could be a car problem that you need to address, or some technical problem with electricity, or a problem with reference to your body. All your knowledge comes sharply focused in that particular area. So if you are expert in this particular field, this is called as general knowledge. Then specific knowledge or particular knowledge also becomes easy. We can fit that into this verse. If you know the knowledge of the self, it clears the delusion or ignorance with reference to all other knowledge. Now the last question is this knowledge within you, or is this knowledge external and has to be given to you? Within you.
So it is like a fire that needs to be ignited, which comes from outside, the fire is always inside.
It is not ignited, it needs to be kindled. If the fire is not there within you, it cannot be kindled. But if it is not kindled, it lies in a dormant way which is not useful also. That what does the Guru do? Guru does not bring in any other fire by himself. He, with his, that particular stick, he kindles the wick and the light within you starts glowing powerfully. So however great you are just waiting to burst out, but you need that external support of whom we call as a source of knowledge, which is a Guru, to kindle it. So with the right source of knowledge, with the right Guru, with the right texts, it is going to glow further and further. And then that instantly, when it catches, you are instantly freed of all the ignorance.
Sir, how come it happened in Ekalavya? Because he did not have that guru.
See, the thing is, as far as Ekalavya is concerned, his knowledge is archery. Okay, now the question we need to ask is, if he had that single pointed concentration to shoot every time, even before going to his Guru, he had the basic knowledge. That's why he wanted to train further, fine tune it further. He had that. But why did he keep the statue of Drona there? He could have very well done without Dronacharya, but he had to keep that statue there, whom he did not consider as a statue, as a living Guru sitting there. It is the inspiration from him that he starts shooting the arrow. So it is not to be denied that it is not, you cannot say Drona did not do. There is something from that which was able to inspire him so that he could go further. So that way it is an external thing that was inspirational which was necessary for him. Yes, sir.
So one is on the point of Mumukshapa, where we, in several occasions, you have said if you desire for something very strongly and you hold on to it, chances you lose. But maybe for Kama and Artha that is applicable, but for Gyan is it different? That you need to have a strong desire to know yourself.
Good question. See, the thing is, the law is that anything that you get attached to, you are bound to lose. Okay. Now carefully analyze. Here we are talking about a desperation for gaining knowledge. And it is not a mere, when we talk about any other desire, when we talk about attachment, it's mind's fascination to get it for the sake of the pleasure content that it wants to derive. So that pleasure content is derived by the ego, by the self, small self that is there within. So I am attached to my car, I want to possess it. Now having possessed, I don't want to leave it. Either way, it causes suffering for me. When I am attached like that, I am bound to lose my car, or some accident is going to happen, or somebody is going to die if I am attached to that person, or it could be that some separation happens, or relationship gets spoiled. All this happens because of your selfish demand from that person, and you are spoiling or interfering with the parallel or beautiful movement of those two persons. You are also suffering, you are making that person also suffer. This is what attachment does, be it inert object or a sentient being. But here we are talking about a desperation. It is not the mind's craving for its own pleasure. It is a desperation born deeply out of the subtle intellect that what is it that by which I can liberate myself, which has nothing egoistic about it. Okay. But this formula applies even for a worldly thing, that if you want to get it, is that you want to have a thought about it, but you have to leave that thought and rise above the desire. See, suppose if you want money, if you keep on craving about money, you cannot work for money. If you don't work for money, you will not get money. But you have a thought for money, then you rise above that desire by doing the karma about it, then money is going to automatically come. This is the formula. So your deep thought is going to get it. But that deep thought, when it is focused and oriented, which is an aspect of the intellect, this functions. But mind does not allow it to function it that way. Mind craves. Mind keeps on getting attached. So therefore that spoils. Therefore we have to do karma to get it actually. Action alone doesn't bring it. It is a thought plus the action that makes you deserve that object. The thought must be there, but if you cling on to that thought with the mind and you get obsessed over it, you are not going to get it. As far as mumukshatva is concerned also, we say it's a desire. But what is the desire? Nothing worldly about it. It is desire for the self. Rather, you are desiring that my body, mind, intellect should go. I should become completely free, naked as it were. The ego should be completely free of everything. So that is a deep desperation, and it is born out of a conviction. Such a focused desire you have to maintain. That is why even here the karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, various other yogas, meditation, all those things are there for you to maintain that desire. So when you do that, it functions according to the law of demand and supply.
Next question, sir. At the point of realization, when the I goes into oblivion, what is there a transformation? What happens to the Panchbhutas? What happens to the pranas? Your ego is gone. Your intellect also submerged. But what happens to the prana and the sea?
See, in the Ishavasya Upanishad, when we studied, the realization is symbolically represented in two mantras. One is when the actual realization happens. Another is when he finally writes the will of the body itself. That is when he physically dies. At the point of realization, we say your ego or your inner personality merges with the Brahman. There's no more thought, desire and mind, intellect separately functioning as a craving personality in you. That ego is gone, completely submerged. These elements that are there as the body, with its own functioning of the mind and intellect, which is as mechanically functioning as the body, they continue to function as long as the prana is alive and kicking. When the time comes where prana has to leave, they all merge with the source elements. That is why this person who is attaining Mahasamadhi writes a will, as it were. Let the wind merge with the wind. Let the fire merge with the fire. Because you are made of fire. Your fire goes to that fire. Your wind goes to that wind. Space that you occupy finally merges with the total space. So there is no more arrogation as far as your physical personality is also concerned. This happens at the time of what is known as Mahasamadhi or the physical death. But realization happens once your mind is submerged and there's no more sankalpa or any thoughts in you.
But at that point, the Panchikarana also has some changes, or that?
Panchikarana is the way in which your body is formed. That's about all. That continues as it were till the end it merges.
That mantra which is quoted, viral something. The second line, Om Katvaspara Katvaspara. Can you explain it once again? Such a fascinating thought.
No, that is a fascinating thought. That, according to Swamiji's interpretation, Vayura Nilam Amritamatayam Bhasmantagam Shariram. So he is merging that Vayu goes with Vayu, Manila goes with Anila, and Sharira becomes Bhasma. So he is finishing off the last rites of his own body. But oh mind, remember. So there are two ways to look at it, that all along the mind has been fascinated with the attainment of the self, which it has finished its journey. But as the last moment, as a culmination of all his practices throughout his life, it will invariably come to that point where he will remember that self again. So he says, remember that, like that he says.
Invoking the mind to
Remember. Because he's finally, that is also going to go now, right? So he says, Kratosmara, Kritagamsara. What has been done. So, and Swamiji also interprets it little further to say that, oh mind, I have already dealt with you. Remember that. Our journey is over. In that seat of meditation, when you had that single pointed thought and you finally merged into it, your journey is over for all practical purposes. Remember that you have finished your journey. Remember that you have merged with that self. Remember that also, he says. It's a very interesting mantra to understand how each and every aspect of the body which you arrogate to yourself is finally merged with the totality as it is.
And one question, it's very, very mundane. When we are talking in Vedantic lectures as well as some literature, we come across two words. One is ahamkara, the other one is mamakara. So one is the prathama, one is the shakti. What about the other rupas? For the mayakara is something that you could think of. Or Mamkara, that could be another thing. No, it happens through me. In fact, Kenopanishad is talking about through. So, why
Kenopanishad, where it talks through.
Mayakara? Kenopanishad, who does it? Through whom is it?
Ha.
So, that way, when we say Ahamkara should be got rid of, Mayakara should be got rid of, what about Mayakara?
No.
Could there be a concept like
Aham is the this thing, base. With aham only everything comes. So that way, this body itself is a possession. But invariably we consider this body to be me, I. Correct. But body itself is what we say as my body. So the possession starts with the body, and based on this possession we accumulate various other possessions. So it is talking about possessive case probably because to make you understand this, that this body is also only a possession, nothing else. Once this possession of the body itself is freed from you, where is the question of any other whether you are acting as an instrumental case or this case or that case, that really doesn't matter, because all that is based on this I. So he says that I itself is a delusion. I itself is only a possession, he says. So probably that's why it says ahankara and mamakara. And from this ahankara comes all other mamakara, my car and my book and my this thing. It all is circulated around this I. So I is the main thing. Once you get rid of that I, all other things automatically goes up. The knowledge born out of realization of the Supreme Brahman instantly destroys ignorance and I and mine, like confusion regarding direction, etc. We'll chant verse 47.
Samyak Vijnanavan Yogi Svatmanyevakhilam Jagat Ekam cha sarvamatmanam Tikshate Gnana-Chakshusha.
A yogi, sage of complete enlightenment, sees with his eye of wisdom the entire universe in his own self and the one self everywhere. Topic 6 of Atma Bodha begins here. As you know, for convenience, Swamiji has divided the 64 verses of Atma Bodha, 68 verses of Atma Bodha into 8 topics. Each topic telescopes into other with a thought pattern. 5 topics gets over, 5th topic gets over with verse 46. 47 to 53, 7 verses are talking about self-realized merges with Brahman. A very interesting verse which talks about what is known as Gnana-Chakshu. Gnana-Chakshu means eye of wisdom. All of us know that eye of wisdom comes in our favorite poem, Daffodils poem, which it's very, very interesting how Swamiji has interpreted that poem, Daffodils. This eye of wisdom is not a physical eye. It is shown as third eye of Lord Shiva, even Goddess Durga. Third eye is an invisible eye, as it were. So invisible eye means it sees invisible things. In other words, it is able to penetrate through your personality and see the Atman that is there. It sees, as it were. Seeing is the most direct of all perceptions. When you see something, you literally know it just here and now. Like that, that person is able to view Atman as a direct perception. Chapter 9 of Bhagavad Gita says this. Pratyaksha vagamam dharmyam susukam kartum abhyayam. Susukam kartum abhyayam. Yeah, it is pratyaksha vagamam. It is as good as seeing what? The self which is now invisible. So therefore, what we out of ignorance see as pluralistic phenomena with names and forms, this yogi, the sage sees the same thing as the self. It is what to say? you analyze by the arguments given by Swami Ramtirtha and others that the proof of the existence of the world is dependent on your senses, which is made up of the same 5 elements that you are seeing. The same 5 elements of the universe is what is the same 5 elements which is making your senses also. So elements in one form of your senses is proving that the elements is there in the world in some form. It is not a conclusive proof. It is in a way reasoning in a circles, he says. So it is not a conclusive proof that something apart from the perceiver is existing independently. That is why each and every perception is colored through your thoughts. But you are asking to explain how the world has come, and they are giving various explanations where you will find some fault or the other. They are saying it is not existing as you perceive. It exists as it is, as the self. And that is what they are seeing. That you will see only when you develop what is known as Gnana-Chakshu, eye of wisdom. In Daffodils, he talks about the poet's experience on seeing the flower daffodils. Swamiji's interpretation is according to the Vedantic terms, which leads from karma, bhakti and jnana, leading to withdrawal and meditation and then realization. Everything fits in that poem. So first 2 lines talks about karma yoga, then the description talks about the bhakti yoga, then a small part symbolizes jnana yoga, then the introverted person, then the meditative person, then the realized person. It all comes in the last stanza. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills. I wandered lonely as a cloud. This wandered talks about a sense of detachment. Because wandered lonely. He is not with family, he is going here and there. But he is not going without a purpose. Wandered lonely as a cloud. Cloud is something which is a giver. The highest form of a giver is cloud. It gives itself away. It gives what it has and finally it completely dissolves itself. And it is useful for others. That is cloud. That once you reach that state of service and sacrifice, you float on high over vales and hills. You are not bothered by the pairs of opposites of the world. Valleys and hills are same for you from that level. When in such a state of mind which is prepared by hard karma yoga, bhakti comes, feeling comes. That is why he says, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils. It could be an ordinary flower that you see, but what you see is divinity. That is why his experience is caught by the poet with a comma which is grammatically not right. A host, comma, of golden daffodils. When Swamiji was rewriting means correcting any mistakes and making this book again, he asked our colleague in England, Bhaskar, a very fine product of the academy who is taking classes there, to check the original manuscript of Daffodils to see whether it is there. That comma was there. Host of golden daffodils. It talks about the ecstasy of the poet and sudden expression. Suddenly he is seeing these beautiful flowers everywhere, which is divinity, nothing else. What he sees as flowers is divinity. Beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing with the breeze. It is fluttering and dancing. Now he goes on to ecstasy and explains all the he notices. It is like how a person goes into ecstasy and describes about Krishna or Rama in his poem with anklets, with bracelets, and in whatever way he imagines, and all that appears in front of him. Like that it is. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in a never-ending line along the margin of a bay. 10,000 I saw at a glance, tossing their heads in a sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling wave in a glee. The waves in the lake are also dancing, but their dance is better than the dance of the waves. A poet could not but be gay in such a jocund company. How can a poet be except in this mood, such a happy mood? And then I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. It is a contemplation. Now he is thinking deeply about it. This is what it appears. Karma leads to bhakti, bhakti leads to jnana, contemplation. And then he comes home. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood. When I lie down on my couch, in vacant of the worldly thoughts, pensive of the self, focus there. Here is daffodil. Daffodils is the self here. They flash upon that inward eye. Inward eye is the Gnana-Chakshu. So, in that he is now closing the eyes also, he is only visualizing that. So therefore, when he opens the eyes now, everywhere he will see that only. This is what is becoming one with it, and you are deep into it, where that gets reflected in every sight of yours, in every experience of yours. They flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. Solitude here indicates a deep contemplative state leading to meditation. He is merging almost one with God now. And finally the merger happens. And then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. In every state of ecstasy, finally it culminates in dance only. Shiva's Tandava is realization. Krishna's Rasa Leela represents realization. There cannot be, in other words, dance cannot come in any other mood except in absolute ecstasy. I think Rabindranath Tagore has also written poems where, I saw a dance drama somewhere. A girl is being chased away everywhere because she's untouchable or something. Finally, a Buddhist monk, he makes her understand what she's made up of, and in the rain she dances. Ecstasy. When ecstasy comes, there is dance. Of course, in dance you can show other emotions, that is different, but dance comes in absolute ecstasy. So then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. I and daffodils are no more two. I have become one with daffodils. This is exactly what a sage of realization does. He is not seeing plurality, names, forms anywhere. He is seeing that one unifying self. There is no way to attain self-realization except to go through this path, where both bhakti and jnana merge, where head and heart has to combine. It is not possible by merely studying, attending class or giving lectures in a class like this. Not possible. Your intellect may become sharp, but it may become dry also. A feeling is required. The language of the heart is much, much more powerful. It has to combine with the head. Why I say it's much powerful, it is something which you can communicate to all. So in that, when you communicate with all, you will find that birds, dogs, every animal, you will be able to understand and feel one with them. That's what will happen. If you are not able to see that, if you are not able to feel that, it is impossible to cross this. Upanishad says this, Na anya panta vimuktaye. There is no other way to realization. What? Seeing others in oneself and seeing oneself in others. This is the constant statement there. So, our study, our sadhana, whatever you do, must go and culminate in that, where you are able to see. That is what exactly he says here. A sage is able to see himself in others and others in himself. Gita says that in many places. This is a true yogi, not a person who can chant various verses and knows Upanishads and maybe other religious scriptures also. All this has their purpose, but it is not the be all and end all of it. Ultimately, the self or the God sees this, how it is able to melt your heart. That is what the knowledge should do. With all the knowledge, you become only a Pandit and you become a PhD. That is not the purpose of it. It's a very, very limited purpose otherwise, if you do like that. The purpose is to open up your feelings. When you combine with that, you will be able to achieve this. Oh, Paramashiva.
Poornam Adah, Poornamidam, Poornat Poornamudachyate, Poornasya पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः